Okay, hello. I can't even believe I just hit the streaming button, but I did. So, hey everybody. um, I don't know, I just felt inspired to put something out there and have a little chat because uh, actually I was waiting. What time is it? Maybe like a couple hours ago, I got off of work. I know it's very late for those of you who share my time zone. But I get off of work late. And I had some time to kill while I was waiting for my transportation. And I was reading through some comments, which is not something I do very often. It's probably been like a couple of months since I looked through comments. I am terrible when it comes to YouTube lately, mostly because I just don't have a lot of free time. Um, but I know I was reading some comments and I was reading some stuff about people's relationships and difficulties that they're having because that's what I focused on a lot here on this channel. And I don't know, something stirred inside of me and I said, you know what, let me talk. And then I was thinking, I don't know what to talk about. And then I realized, like, technically it's Valentine's Day now. And that's what this channel's been about for a long time, is like love, relationship, breakups, all that kind of stuff. So here I am. That's what I'm going to talk about for a little while. But I have no plan, so I feel like a bit of a mess. I just have like the inspiration to be here with nothing particular to say, although I did try to think of some things. So, Valentine's Day. I don't know. I guess, well, first I should say, I think I'm going to do another video on this new channel that I made that I mentioned the last time I did a video, and then I never made anything on that channel. It's called Ryan Recycled, and it's going to be where I just put junk, basically, I guess, whenever I have inspiration and I want to talk about something and I don't want to feel the pressure of it needing to fit into a box and a category. I'm going to go over there. But I think I'm going to, after this, live stream over there the biggest mistakes I've made in relationships, because that seems like a good, juicy place for me to talk about stuff. But we're here now. I'm not going to waste your time talking about what I'm going to do. Let's just talk. So let's see. My views on love and Valentine's Day and all this stuff has changed a lot throughout the years. For me, growing up, and for a good portion of my younger years, I know I may not completely look it, but I'm getting there in age. And my younger times, I always viewed love as like the big ultimate thing. Like a romantic relationship to me was the pinnacle of life. I'm not sure why I felt that way, but I always felt like that thing, that romantic relationship, was the treasure of life. That was the ultimate. That was the only real purpose of life. Um, so you can imagine my surprise and difficulty going through a couple of really bad relationships and trying to make sense out of like what is going on here. Why has this been happening, and like what can I do differently? Like I just, I'm sure many of you have experienced it yourself. You just can't even understand what is happening and how is how does my life function anymore, especially when a relationship falls apart. So I guess I do want to say, I don't know why this has been stirring inside of me for a little while, but I am single right now, and I'm happy being single, which is really weird and a little bit new for me. Um, Not that I haven't been happy being single before, but I think I'm at a place in my life, having gone through the things that I've gone through, where I'm like, you know what, I'm good. I don't need somebody. Like, I really don't need somebody else in my life. I'm perfectly happy the way I am. I'm happy, like, setting goals and doing the things I want to do and not having to worry about somebody else and how I'm affecting them. And not to say that relationships aren't wonderful and beautiful and very beneficial things when they work well. Even when they don't work well, they can still become beautiful and all that. But I'm just really happy being single. And I just want to say that for people who are out there who maybe a romantic relationship is not their thing, and maybe they feel some kind of pressure from society. And I should mention that I'm coming from United States American position of what a romantic relationship is and all that. You know, we can go into whole discussions about different cultures and how everybody views things, but I'm coming from that position, and it's been really nice and liberating to not feel like I need somebody else, or even desire somebody else. Like, I'm good where I am. So I just want to put that out there for people who maybe haven't considered that that's even a possibility before. Yes, that's a possibility. You can just live your life single and not need somebody else, not want somebody else, and just be happy. It's completely possible. But I don't know, there's a lot of people out there who are struggling, who are sad. There's people who are sad because they're in a relationship, and there are people who are sad because they're not in a relationship. And I would love to see those people talk to each other and share the different positions that they're in, because I think they would learn a lot from each other. And I'm sure you can imagine the conversations that would go on. Maybe I could have a little conversation here with myself in front of all of you. I'm the kind of weird person who would do that. Let me see. What would I tell myself when I was in a relationship and unhappy? You know, because I think a lot of us find ourselves there, and we don't really get like a book. I mean, some of us have different things that we reference, but we don't really get like a book or like a guide of like, here's what a romantic relationship is and how it should look. And I think a lot of us, we search magazines or we search the internet, we go on live streams and YouTube, and we look to movies and traditions and religions and all kinds of different things for answers for what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to do it. Um, so we find ourselves sometimes in positions where we're not happy. And maybe we're unhappy because we followed somebody else's advice, or somebody, you know, a particular spirituality or whatever it is that led us into the position we're in today, and it's not working. Which in itself is a valuable lesson to say, hey, you know what, this thing that I've been following is not working. Maybe I should loosen up my grip on this thing, because it doesn't seem to be making me very happy. Not that, you know, we need to be happy all the time. I am somebody that believes that, like, you shouldn't really be happy 100% of your life. I think there's something weird about that. But in general, you should feel good. So if you're in a position or in a relationship or some kind of situation with people romantically that is not feeling good, I think that right there is something to take notice of. There's been a lot of times, if I were to talk to myself in past relationships, I would have said to myself, like, look, you're not feeling good right now. Notice that. Acknowledge that. Don't just brush it aside. Don't just say it's going to change tomorrow, or it's going to change in a week, it's going to change in a month, or, you know, this is temporary, or it's not a big deal. It might be a big deal. You know, how you feel is important. So I would say that to you listening to me now, but I would definitely say that to myself in the past, because I think there were way too many times where I just maybe I thought of it as like a sacrifice or something, like it was some kind of virtue or some noble thing to say, it's okay, I don't need to feel good right now. We'll get through this, and this relationship will work itself out. And no, most of the time that was not a good strategy. So, yeah, I would definitely tell myself, listen to yourself more, especially as somebody who experienced trauma in many different points of my life, you know, in young age and from all kinds of different experiences that I've had. I think people who've been through very strong, painful, negative experiences that have shaken them to the core in different ways, we have trouble sometimes listening to our own feelings because we don't even know what we're feeling or how to feel it. But for myself, I needed to learn to listen to myself. And I think all of us really need to learn that, because until you can learn, and I believe everybody can, I really believe everybody can, no matter how difficult it feels like it is. I believe you can. Until you learn to be able to listen to yourself and know what feels good and know what feels bad, you can't really get your feet on the ground and get going in life. I feel like you kind of get stuck in this cycle or this, I don't know, it's like a purgatory or something. It's like you're always struggling, and it doesn't have to be that way. Life definitely does not have to always be a struggle 100%. I know that certainly there are people who are in very difficult, dangerous, scary situations, and I don't want to minimize that, but life as a whole does not need to be a struggle all the time. And maybe we should go ahead and add that to relationships. Romantic relationships do not need to be a struggle all the time. And I would say if you're in a relationship that feels like a struggle all the time, and I'm saying this to my past self as well, that's probably not a romantic relationship anymore. It's probably some kind of weird, some people use the term trauma bond. It's probably some kind of repetitive, habitual, bad thing that you and these other people play out for whatever reasons. And, go and see a therapist. Maybe they can help you with that. But yeah, struggle, not usually a good ingredient when we're talking about relationship. Let's see. So as a single person and somebody who's happy, I think I would try to help my former self who was in these bad relationships understand the the importance and the value of knowing yourself and really learning what you enjoy and being able to disconnect from people, disconnect from your romantic partner, and fully enjoy whatever it is that you're doing. I am somebody, I've talked a lot on my channel in the past about anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, fearful attachment, all this stuff. I definitely would have fallen into the category, and I think it's very important we understand these are just categories. I don't like labeling things and putting people into stone boxes, but I would fall towards the spectrum of anxious attachment, always wanting a romantic partner around and feeling in some ways dependent on a romantic partner. And I think for me, it was really, really important to understand, and now I do, that your romantic partner does not need to be everything in your entire life. Your romantic partner is not that what I started talking about when I started this whole thing, saying how I felt like a romantic relationship was like the pinnacle. It was the one thing. No, your romantic partner does not need to be the one thing in your life, and they don't need to be everything. And certainly you should not feel as though your life is ending if a romantic partner drifts away for whatever reason. I know that inside, internally, the emotions feel that way. Of course, I understand that pain very well. But I think we always have to keep a perspective here that one person, many people, whatever it is, your life should never really feel so tethered to a certain thing that it feels this important and this dramatic and this intense. It's probably not a good thing to feel something so intensely, which is another lesson. I definitely think that was a big lesson for me. I always assumed that when something felt intense and it felt strong and like emotionally like in your face, that meant it was passionate and it was love. But now I think I put the brakes on that. And if I start to feel that way about something, although I will feel it, of course, I will feel attached and I will feel this yearning and this, all that stuff that I don't even have to tell you because you know what it is. I also keep myself in check and I ask myself, like, how important am I really making this? Does it really match that level of importance that I'm giving this, does it really match the actual importance in my life? And usually the answer is no. I know when we're emotional, it's hard to get the rational brain kicked in and checking on these things, but yeah, that was another big lesson I think I needed to learn. Kyle, hello, I see you. Thank you for your comments. I'm really bad at acknowledging people, but I do see you. I don't know how many people I have here. I have three people. It says hi, three people. Again, it's late at night. It's like 3:23 in the morning here. I'm just kind of doing this on a whim. Let's see. What else would I say? I'm trying to put myself in the position of like imagining. It was so long ago that I was in these relationships. My last relationship ended, what was it, like 2016, 15, something like, so like 6, 7 years ago, 5, 6, 7 years, whatever the hell it is. Uh, so it feels like it's really far away for me, like incredibly far away. Um, what would I say if I had to sit myself down and talk to myself? You know, I guess I would be talking to different people depending on where I was in the relationship. Because in the beginning of the relationship, the last relationship that I had, I was really excited by it. And like I could even see like warning signs, of what was going wrong. Um, but like we all do when a relationship is new, you kind of like brush past it, and I think I don't even know if I like the idea of warning signs because everybody has flaws, and whatever relationship you're going to land in, even if it's the relationship you're going to stay in for the rest of your life, that person's going to have flaws. And do you want to call those warning signs, or do you just want to call them things about your partner that don't fit completely with how you would do things? But uh, there were definitely things I was concerned about in the beginning. That again, because of my personality, I just kind of let it brush past. One second, my cat is trying to chew on the cord that is filming me, and I don't want her to chew it. Okay, there we go. Sorry, little girl. um, there was definitely stuff that I brushed over. And I think I would tell that person, like, listen, go ahead and enjoy this relationship because this is the best part of it right now. This, like, first couple of years that I was with this person, like, we were jiving, stuff was flowing pretty well, and there were problems. But I think I would have been like, look, just notice those problems. Don't just brush them away. Go ahead, have fun, enjoy the relationship, see where it goes. Um, but notice those things. And not just problems with the person I was in the relationship with, but also myself. You know, I knew that I wasn't always behaving to the best of behavior, like nobody does. But, I knew where my faults were and I knew my problems. And not to say that I needed to change anything about myself or I needed to change anything about my partner at the time, but I think it would have been helpful to just notice the things that were going on, not judgmentally, not just notice, like, okay, when he does this you do that, and when you do this he does that, and, and just get a feel for what's going on. Go ahead and also get a feel for the things you enjoy. You can't always give all the attention to the negative. I think I think we all have a tendency to generally look at the negative of things and look at the problems and look at what's going wrong. And sometimes we get so caught up in that cycle, for lack of a better word, of looking at the negative, looking at the negative, looking at oh, they're doing this, and today they did this, and yesterday they did this, and I don't know why they're doing this, and now I'm doing this, and I'm so tired of this, and this, and this. But what are you appreciating? What did they do that you liked? Sometimes we forget to do that. So I think I would tell myself in that beginning stage, go ahead and notice the things you like, of course, notice the things that are going wrong and give time to each and just pay attention, I guess. I think I was very much of like go with the flow kind of person and not really like la-di-da, like today I hate today and tomorrow I like to do this and I hate this. And but I wasn't really noticing and putting together like a collection of like what was going on. And maybe that allowed me to be a little bit in denial and enjoy the time I had in the beginning, but I don't know. I think it's just a helpful skill to put together like a general framework, a general idea of how things are fitting together, and of course update as you go. Uh, Let me see. I want to read what's going on here in the chat because I see a couple people saying things. Uh, I should probably just answer questions. I don't know why I get nervous about answering questions because I guess because I feel like I'm not like some expert or something. To me, I'm just a guy talking. I am a guy who likes talking about this thing, and I am a guy who has a lot of knowledge in some ways about it, but I do feel sometimes like I'm just a guy, like I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I get it. I get that we all have questions, and I sometimes there are people who I wish I could ask questions and get answers to too. So I get it. Why don't I just answer? So, what advice would you give someone who's in their early 20s and has never dated? Well, I guess that would depend on what. Okay, that's an interesting question because the first thing that comes to my mind is dating something you even want to do? If it is, then okay, that's fine, that's great. But like I would slow it down and say, do you need to date? Do you want to date? Because you don't have to. There's no. The reason I say this is I guess I'm noticing a lot in my life right now how much pressure has been put on me from the outside world to to do certain things. And I'm sorry, I know I'm going to go off on a little tangent here, but I'll go back and talk a little more. People in my life, and this is all the time, but I've been noticing it more recently, are always kind of asking me, like, oh, don't you have somebody else in your life? Don't you want somebody else in your life? Don't you feel lonely? Don't you wish somebody was there? Don't do that to yourself. Go find someone. And I'm like, why? Not to be like rude about it or anything, but like I've been through it and I've had the relationships, I've had the good and the bad, and like, I don't need it. So I just, I guess in this position where I am right now of feeling like I don't need it, I'm noticing all the pressure from other people, and I'm like, why are you giving me this pressure? Like, why is this a thing? Why is this a thing that we tell people or encourage people to be in a relationship? Like, I don't know. It's just something I'm noticing. So I guess that would be my first little stop along the way, is asking, do you want to date in the first place? Now, if you do, which a lot of people do, and that's okay. I mean, there is a biological component to all of this, and there are, there's all kinds of cultural and spiritual, religion. There's a lot of layers to this, like love and dating thing. What kind of advice would I give to someone who's never dated? Let's assume that you want to date. Oh, this is actually a good question because this is something I was thinking about recently. I would say try to have a clear vision about what it is that you actually want. You know, I think a lot of us kind of want something vague, right? We want somebody sexy. We want somebody smart. We want somebody who we can laugh with. We want somebody who, I don't know, matches our interests and stuff. And I think this is where we get into the trap of like going on dating apps, which I hate dating apps. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I've tried like in multiple ways to use them and I hate them. I just don't, maybe that's a whole other topic. But we go into these like dating apps because we're looking for something and we think we know what we want and we're looking for a specific kind of thing. Oh, they like this music and they like this. And I feel like it's a little too vague, even though we think we're being specific. It's still too vague. Maybe this is, again, maybe I'm talking to myself here through answering this question, but I've noticed that where I am right now in my life, if I were to bring somebody into my life to be dating and to have any kind of romantic interest with, there's a lot of checkpoints they got to get through first before I even get to that place. And I'm not saying that in like an avoidant kind of way where I'm like, oh, I got to put up my guard or anything. It's just, I'm not going to be with somebody quickly. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just where I am right now. I wouldn't jump into anything quickly. And I guess rolling off of that, what I would say is look for people who you can just have fun with. And if it turns romantic, then let it turn romantic. I think that's what I want for myself. I'm not really looking to find a romantic partner. Like, that's the goal. I want to just be around cool people and enjoy company and just see where life takes me and have fun with that. And then if something becomes romantic and something picks up from there, great, awesome. Then I'll go with that. Maybe that's just how what feels right for me. It feels more natural for me for whatever reason. I know there are a lot of people who are like, no, I need to find somebody and I have a plan for my life. I want to get married by this age and I want to have a baby or three babies or 12 babies. And, that's fine. That's right for your life. So, if that's the case, I still think it's good advice to know what it is that you're looking for and try to be specific. I guess conventional wisdom out there is that you should, what do they say? Know your deal breakers and know what's not acceptable. Basically, have boundaries. Think about these things. Like, really think about them. They're important. We don't realize it until we're in the middle of a relationship that's been going on for 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And we wake up and we're like, oh my God, this is nothing like I wanted. Well, try to notice these things in the beginning and get a sense. I feel like this is an ongoing conversation you need to have with yourself, like all the time. What is it that I'm looking for? What do I really want? What makes me happy? Because as we live, things change, and what makes you happy today may not be the same tomorrow. So I don't know. I guess that's the advice I would give for right now, is to go a little bit slowly, but enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. Go do things that you would have fun doing on your own with somebody else, you know? Don't make it such a thing. Don't make it a big thing. Dating doesn't have to be a thing. Dating, actually, I don't know the full history of dating, but I want to know. And I just haven't gotten to it yet. But dating, as far as I'm aware, probably stems through history from this idea of courtship and putting on a display to attract a certain kind of person, probably to attract their property and their wealth and the connection, the social connections and everything else. So it's a formalized way of doing something. And for me in my life right now, I'm not really into the formalized way of doing things. Like a wedding is a very formalized way of displaying love. I don't know that I'm so keen on a wedding because I don't, I know for some people that's very attractive and there's nothing wrong with that. I just think if you're going to do that, understand what it is, you know? And for me, dating doesn't feel like something I want to formalize. Like, I just want to have fun and live my life and enjoy myself. And if somebody else wants to be there and like we both have fun together, great. And then go from there. I think that's how I feel about dating. I don't know if that's good advice or not. Maybe it's good advice for you, maybe not. That's where I'm at, I think. So I'm gonna keep reading through because I see people talking, and I wanna be in this conversation. So let me see. Oh, just reading a little bit. Na, na, na. Sorry, I hate when there's like dead silence during these live stream things. This is why I'm not good at like reading and commenting and answering questions and all this stuff. Okay, I'm reading about, I'm seeing vulnerability being mentioned and stuff like that. Let's see, vulnerability. That's a tricky one, isn't it? Because the whole idea, I think, of a romantic partner is to be vulnerable in some way. And yet, too many of us have stories where we completely opened ourselves to somebody and it felt like they destroyed us because things went south quickly. So, that's an interesting one. Um, Ooh, I don't even know if I have anything good to say here right now. I I have been somebody who opened myself way up to people and I have seen them be scared by that. And I've also been on the opposite end of that where I've seen people open themselves up to me way too quickly and been like, "Whoa, this is too much." um, I don't know what to say about vulnerability. I think I think for myself, I spent a long, 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 long time working out a lot of my personal vulnerabilities and my issues through different people, through understanding myself. I mean, experience is kind of how we work these things out. And right now in my life, I feel like I'm in a place where I don't feel very vulnerable. And of course, I have things I worry about, and of course, I have things that maybe I feel insecure about, but they're not huge things. And I don't feel like I need another person to see them or to know them. um, I don't feel like I need to like open myself to somebody. And I think that's a good place to be in if you want to. I saw that somebody mentioning there's like a fine balance between, I'm reading it right now, a fine balance between being open and genuine versus sharing too much. I think where we go wrong with being open is when we feel, when being open becomes less of a choice and more of like a feeling that you need somebody to hear you, you need somebody to see you. Maybe you feel you need somebody to rescue you, or you I don't know, the need part. We have this idea of neediness in relationships. That's the feeling that drives people away, is when they can sense that you feel so weak or something. You feel so, I don't know. I don't even know what the right word is, but you feel like such a desire to have somebody witness something inside of you. And it's beautiful when you can open yourself up and somebody can witness, of course, but especially when somebody is not very familiar with you and they don't have that trust and connection with you, it can be very off putting, it can be scary, it can be confusing. And generally, at least in my American, North American, United States American culture, where we have a lot of freedom, it's and again, we could go have a whole discussion about culture. I'm probably not the best person to have that discussion, but to see somebody like laying it all bare for you like that, it raises questions. It raises questions about like, what is this person really looking for here? And if they need me to hold them and like coddle their emotions almost like a child, what else are they going to need me for? Because I'm not God. I can't take care of everything. I'm barely holding myself together for some people. I've got my own stuff and I've got my own life, and I don't know that I can take on another whole person. That's not a child that I gave birth to or something. Like, it's too much. And that's a difficult thing all by itself, raising a child, for example. Not to compare anybody to a child, but sometimes when you open up so much, it feels that way. It feels like somebody's putting this giant burden on you, and that's not enjoyable for anybody. So little doses are definitely better. as far maybe I took this way off topic, and I'm sorry, because a lot of these terms when we're talking about relationships and love have so many layered meanings and stuff, so maybe I went down a layer that wasn't intended. If you're just opening up to be like, hey, I like you, hey, I think you're kind of cute, hey, I'm interested, I don't even know that I've gotten that down very well, and I'm old. I'm not old, but I'm old enough. And I still feel like I don't really understand how to do that myself. I don't think there is a perfect way to do that. And again, I think for myself, the way I envision getting into a relationship with somebody is going to be like, I'm just already jiving with you. We're already having fun. Like it's already working. And I don't know. Maybe I have like this movie vision or something about what it is, but I feel like it just progresses there naturally, and the vulnerability and stuff, like it just kind of happens, and it's not so scary because it happens slowly. Of course it's scary, but the slower you do things and the smaller increments and everything, I just think it works out better that way. And it doesn't scare anybody off, it doesn't scare you to open yourself up, it doesn't scare them to hear it. Like it just works out nicer. I don't know. So let's see. I'm going to try to read a little bit more. Do, do, do. I see a little bit about being burned. Let's talk about being burned, because a lot of us have been burned. I was burned many times within the same relationship, multiple different relationships. Being burned sucks. I think it's something we all kind of have to experience, though. Even if you're with a lifelong partner, I think, let's say you're with somebody for 20 years and you continue and you go all the way, 40 years, whatever it is, you're probably going to be burned along the way at some point. You're going to get hurt. And it's really going to sting. It's really, there's a lot of people who get married, stay married, and they're happy, but they had a 1 month period, or they had a 6 month period, or a 1 year period where it was like not looking so good, not really sure this is going to last. So we all get burned, and being burned sucks. And when we're burned, we tend to want to close off. And I think that's a natural feeling, and it's a appropriate feeling, and I think that's our body's natural defense, and I think it's the correct defense. I think when somebody hurts us, just like when we get hurt from somebody physically hurting us, you defend yourself. The most easy way I can just show it right now is like you curl your posture, you put your arms across, you protect yourself. And when you're burned and you start to feel a distrust for somebody, what do? You separate from them. Just like if somebody's attacking you, if an animal's attacking you, if anything bad is coming, if it's like lightning storm, pouring rain, and you're not ready for it, you seek shelter. That's a natural response, is to go away from the thing that you think is harming you or doesn't feel good, and regroup, breathe, try to get to a place of calm. And I think that's okay. And I think however long it takes you to recover, it takes you to recover, and there's nothing wrong with that. So when it comes to opening up again to somebody, if it feels like it's not right, if it feels like it's too scary, maybe you just haven't recovered enough. There's nothing wrong with that. It could be 5 years later from whatever it was that hurt you, and you're still afraid to open up. And maybe it just takes that long for some people. I have some stuff that I went through in my life that took me a long, 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 long time to get through. I do think it would have helped me, and probably will help a lot of people, to understand like what it is that's really at the core of what you're afraid of. And for me, there was trauma involved, and trauma is its own thing. And if you suspect trauma is involved, I definitely think it's a good idea to go see a therapist who's been educated about trauma. But when it comes to opening up to somebody and being afraid of being hurt again, I think, again, speaking as myself, where I am right now in my life, I am not afraid of that because I will not let myself be so vulnerable to somebody again that they will be able to hurt me that much again. And this goes back to what I was saying before about taking things slowly and understanding what it is you're really looking for, knowing your boundaries. These are all tools to keep that from happening. See, the way that I understand it in my own life is I've been burned a lot, as we probably all have. And once it's happened enough, for me anyway, I got to a point where I'm like, this is not happening again. It hurts too much. It really messes up my life. I suffer really bad consequences because of it, and I don't like it, and I'm gonna distance myself from this. So the next time, I'm not going to do this, this, and this. You know, I'm not going to open up to somebody so quickly right away. I'm not going to even let somebody close to me when they demonstrate to me over and over again that they're going to hurt me. Like, I'm going to get the sign, I'm going to understand earlier this time what's going on, and I'm going to slow things down. It's like, I don't know, driving a car, or, you know, any skill where you have to kind of adjust as you go. You know, maybe it feels comfortable to be vulnerable today and this week, and then something happens and it doesn't feel good. Okay, so slow down. Don't open up so much. Go back, you know, you want to spend some time alone, spend some time alone. And I think we're all guilty in a relationship where we see somebody goes and they want to spend time alone or something, and we're like, well, what the hell, like, I like you and I want to be in this relationship, why do you want to spend some time alone? But we all of us, I think, have to reach a maturity where we allow somebody to be who they are on their own and be in a relationship with us. So I don't know, I guess something I'm understanding for myself lately, and again, I keep speaking for myself because I'm the only person I can really speak for. I am learning to give people more space that they need to work things out the way that they need to work them out. And I'm also more acknowledging when I need space and when something doesn't feel good for me, and I need to put up a wall and say, you know what? I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go regroup. I'm going to get out of the rainstorm with the lightning crashing down around me. I'm going to go over in that cave, dry off, start a fire, go to sleep, and relax because I don't want to be in the middle of this right now. And I still like you, and I'll still come outside when the storm is gone, but right now, no thank you. And that's really all it needs to be. It doesn't have to be some big dramatic thing. And I feel like when you take things slower and you take things more incrementally and you're much more careful about things, it's harder to get burned. Or when you do get burned, it doesn't feel so intense and it doesn't feel so dramatic, and you don't go to the next relationship or whatever it is in your life and feel like it's going to happen again, because you learn the lessons from the first time and you go slower, and then it really doesn't happen again because you don't allow it to happen again, if that makes sense. Yeah. So let's see. I kind of feel like I want to talk a little bit more. I don't really know what, because like I said, I don't have a plan. I definitely do want to do that other video on my other channel. And if you don't have the link to the channel, I put it in the description for this video. It's called Ryan Recycled. Honestly, I don't know what I'm doing. I just created this channel, like I said, has no videos on it right now, so this will be the first one. But I created the channel just to kind of have space to do whatever the heck I want. Because there are times that I want to talk, and it's not always about psychology or mental health or relationships or whatever. And I don't know, I just wanted it out there, and I haven't really used it yet, and who knows how much use it's going to get, because honestly, I am not very good at being consistent with YouTube for the past few years. but I think I want to do a video on some mistakes that I made because I think there's a lot of gold in there from my experience. I don't know. Let's see. Valentine's Day. What else could I talk about? Um, I feel like I have a million things to talk about when it comes to love, and I just don't know which ones to talk about. Um, Maybe I do find it interesting to think about different ways that people experience love. This is actually something I want to talk about when I go to the other channel, but like I said, I'm at a point right now where I'm happy being single, and I guess, the word love itself is so frustrating because love can mean like a million different things. It's almost like the word fuck. Like that can mean 10 million different things, and the word love can too. I'm at a place where I feel happy by myself and I love myself. Like I love myself. I love the things that I enjoy. I love small moments that happen during the day. I love when I can sleep and just relax. I love that I can do this right now. But people have love for God, whatever God means to them, whether that be a particular God, or for some people, God is nature. Some people just love nature without having the concept of God attached. Some people have a passion for something, and that feels like love, and that's their devotion. Obviously, people love other people. Um, some people love multiple people, which is something that I had a hard time wrapping my brain around for a very long time. But I've explored it in my head, and I've explored the idea, and I think there's a whole another other interesting idea there. But yes, you can love more than one person. You can be committed to one person and in a marriage with one person and still love that person and another person. For example, sometimes people fall in love, they're married or whatever, and then one of them passes away. So you love the one that passed away, and then you get into a new relationship, and you love the new one. Like you can still love both of them. Love doesn't have to be a one person thing, I guess is what I'm getting at. Um, I love my cat. You can love animals. You can love your friends. You can love experiences. So I think when we talk about love, I think it's good to think about it more broadly and more openly, and it doesn't have to be confined to this very Western tradition thing of like one relationship with one person and all of the love has to go right here. It's a very romanticized, in some ways, Christian notion. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm sorry. Talking too much. My throat's getting dry. I uh, I I like this romantic notion, as I think most of us do, and that's why we strive for it. There's nothing wrong with it. But I think it's also good to think about other ways that love can happen so we don't get stuck in believing that like this is the only way. And I guess again maybe I'm just speaking for myself here because for the longest time I felt like this was the one thing in my life. This was what I had to achieve or whatever. And I think it's very clear to me now that it doesn't have to be that way. Um, yeah, I don't know. Since I feel like that's something important to mention on Valentine's Day. And even Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is a very cultural thing. Valentine's Day is, what are the traditions behind Valentine's Day? Giving a card and giving a gift or candy or whatever, and devoting a whole day to mostly romantic relationships, which, some have argued it's been because it was created by, and I don't know the full history, so let's not go there, but, it was created by marketers to sell stuff to people, and that might be true, but I don't know that that's 100% of the reason why we still do it. Um, but it is a cultural thing, and it's just one way of looking at love and what love is and how love should perform in our lives. And I think what I want people to feel the most when it comes to Valentine's Day is that you can choose how you want to love and you can choose what your relationship is. And I know we get stuck in relationships that aren't good. Um, and I think it's always helpful to have a reminder that you can choose whether you want to be in that relationship or not, and whether that means you change something about yourself. Certainly, you can't change other people, but you can inform them of what it is you're looking for and what makes you feel good, and see how they respond to that. Um, and you have the choice on whether you want to give them that chance to see how things go. You have a choice of which sacrifices you're comfortable making, and you have a choice of which boundaries to put up. Um, you have a choice of however you want to configure things in your life. And again, maybe this is me as a very United States American person speaking about freedom and choice. But from where I live and where I stand, I have a great deal of choice. And this is one area, especially, where I can choose. Do I want to have a romantic relationship at all? If I do, who do I want it to be with? What do I want it to look like? So I think that's just always a good reminder for everybody on Valentine's Day. Is like you have a say. You get a say in what you want. Even if you're in a circumstance where the outside stuff narrows down what's available to you, you still internally, inside of yourself, get to have a choice on what you desire and what you want. So I think it's important that we all acknowledge that for ourselves. Um, okay, let me go back and read a little bit, and then I think I'm going to wrap it up so I have time because it's almost 4 o'clock in the morning now. Have some time to do that other little live stream on my other channel. Let me see. Okay, being high maintenance, being difficult. This is a good one, actually. Um, hmm. So a lot of people feel that when somebody says, okay, high maintenance is the concept here. Um, we know I don't think I need to explain what high maintenance means, but people who are high maintenance, we typically think of them as a little bit stuck up, a little bit like too picky. They want too much. They're expecting something that's way beyond realistic standards, and they're fooling themselves. Like, right? That's generally what we think about when it comes to somebody who's high maintenance. And those people definitely exist. um, and I'm sure I have been that person. I think most of us have probably been that person at some point in our lives, uh, where we feel like, I deserve the richest person and the most sexy person, and they better treat me right, and I better be on a pedestal with them handing me fruits, and they better bow down at my feet and kiss them every time I come in the door or something like that. Yeah, that's not going to happen for most people. And if it is happening, it's probably not a good relationship anyway, because who really wants somebody who is like that? Um, Everybody has flaws, everybody has problems, and you're never going to find a perfect person. That's just a reality that if you haven't accepted yet, you're going to have to accept at some point because it will happen. You'll see it. You're never going to get exactly what you want. Um, but anyway, that's high maintenance. What about when we feel like people might see us as high maintenance because we have these boundaries or these things that we want? And I think the thing here, I don't know. I don't know what the right way to put this is. Everything has like a middle area, right? It's a middle ground. Goldilocks and Three Bears or whatever. There's always like the right, just right area. And I don't think we have to be perfect to get into that just right area. But we're allowed, first of all, we're allowed to want what we want. We're allowed to find certain things attractive and find other things not attractive. We're allowed to uh, not like when people hurt us. We're allowed to not feel good when somebody treats us badly. That needs to be baseline. That needs to be like just accepted. That's what it is. If I don't like something, I don't like something. If I don't like when you touch my neck, and you're somebody who wants to touch my neck all the time, we're just not compatible. It's not going to work. It just is what it is, right? So you're allowed to not like that. And it doesn't say anything about the other person. It doesn't say anything about you. You just don't like it. If I don't like radishes and somebody wants to give me radishes all the time, I'm going to say no. I'm not going to eat them just because you like them. No, I don't like them, so don't give them to me. And I'm just saying radishes for whatever reason, but yeah, that's okay. It's okay to not like things. It's okay to have boundaries. It's okay to decide. And it doesn't even have to be like, again, that's baseline. I don't like this. But you're allowed to also be like, you know what? I like when somebody brings me flowers or something. Like, I know, very arbitrary and very Valentine's Day. But I like when somebody gives me flowers. And you're allowed to want that from somebody. Now, to expect it, and especially to expect it all the time, that is something different. And that's where you get into the troublesome area. You start to get out of that just right area and move a little too high. I don't think it's right to expect people to behave and perform a certain way for you. I think this is where I think it gets tricky, and this is where I think people get confused. Um, a boundary is not telling somebody how to behave. People still have the freedom to behave however they want to behave. If let's use the stupid flowers as an example. If you like when somebody gives you flowers, you're allowed to like when somebody gives you flowers. And if you want somebody who gives you flowers a lot around, and you find somebody who gives you flowers sometimes, then that's great. If you expect them to always give you flowers, you're going to be disappointed when they can't afford flowers. You're going to be disappointed when they can't find the flowers that you want because those flowers are not growing in season right now in your area. You're going to be disappointed when they forget. You're setting yourself up for disappointment when you start to expect things all the time. Uh, and you're especially setting yourself up for disappointment when you start saying things like, well, if you don't bring me flowers, then I don't like you. And when I don't get flowers, then you're not getting this. Like, that's when you're taking it way too far. When you start getting into that territory. But you're allowed to like flowers, and you're allowed to like people bringing you flowers, and you're allowed to want somebody who sometimes at least thinks about bringing you flowers and maybe brings them to you. That's okay. Um, and you're allowed to want somebody who's attractive to you. And we all have our preferences. And I guess the little twist that I want to add to this is to understand that as life goes on and as the years roll by, your preferences are going to change. There are things that I like in people today that I did not like 10 years ago, and there are things that I don't like in people today that I did like 10 years ago. And I anticipate that's going to continue to change as I live. So, of course, have boundaries, and definitely things you don't like, things that don't feel good, those need to be set. Those boundaries need to be there. That does not make you a stuck up person to be like, listen, I don't like it when you smack me in the face. Nobody likes to be smacked in the face. Well, there's probably some people who do, although I would question why. But that's fine. We shouldn't be questioning that at all. But you're also allowed to like curves on somebody, or you're allowed to like, I don't know, a particular face on their, particular shape on their face, or you're allowed to like somebody who laughs a certain way, or has a certain kind of voice, or I'm trying to think of things that are not so superficial. You're allowed to like somebody who like reads, or like whatever. You're allowed to like what you like, and you're also allowed to say, um, I really hate it when people chew with their mouths open, and I love this person and I love everything about them, but they chew with their mouth open, and I don't know that I can do this relationship, and I can't believe it because I love everything about them, but they chew with their mouth open and I can't deal with it, and I told them and they don't change. You're allowed to be like, well, I can't be in this relationship because of that. And it seems petty and it seems superficial, and maybe it seems like it's too high maintenance, but it's really not. If you really don't like it, if it's that irritating, do you want to spend the rest of your life with something that irritates you that much? No, nobody does. Nobody does. So, um, yeah, that's okay too. It's okay to have things that seem very superficial bother you a lot, and be like, nope, this is a deal breaker. I'm sorry. I know for other people it would not be a deal breaker, but for me it is. And that's okay. I think something else that I always like to remind myself of is that there are, what, over 7 billion people? I don't even know. Are we at 8 billion people yet? There's a lot of people in this world. And I know we're not even going to ever see all of them, but there's a lot of variety. And if somebody doesn't match, if somebody doesn't jive right now, if it doesn't work right now, there could be somebody else. It's not as drastic and important and as critical as it maybe feels like it is. So, yes. Um, I think I'm going to stop here because, like I said, it's 4:09 in the morning now, and I do want to do at least a quick video on some mistakes that I've made in my relationships in my other channel, because I need to, I made the damn channel. I might as well use the thing. So Ryan Recycled is what it's called. Um, but yeah, Valentine's Day. I think Valentine's Day is a sweet idea. I think it's nice to celebrate people that we love, romantic partners. I think love is something that we should encourage, but maybe not encourage so much that we make people feel like shit when they're not in a relationship. Just saying. Uh, yeah, I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. I guess that's how I feel about it. I like the idea of a romantic relationship, and I like people who are able to find a way to make it work for them. I do question how many of those people really exist. And I do question how many people only have a good time in the beginning, and then as things progress, maybe it doesn't work out so well. But I do think that for myself, at least, that I am in a much better position having learned from the bad relationships to find a good relationship. And I do believe it's out there. I think it's possible, of course, for people to have good relationships and to be happy, and maybe not happy all the time, maybe there's struggles, but in general, have a romantic partner or partners that make them happy. And again, maybe you're like me right now and you're single and happy, and that's good too. And maybe I don't know, maybe as life goes on, you just have different experiences and enjoy yourself along the way, you know? So, with my little weird ranting there, rambling, happy Valentine's Day to anybody out there. And thank you for joining me. Thank you to the 4 people who are still left here. I appreciate you listening and tuning in, and I appreciate the little discussion in the chats. I will be heading over to Ryan Recycled now, the channel. Again, that's in the description of this video if you need a link. I'll probably only be there for like a little bit, maybe 15 minutes to a half an hour. I know this is probably, how long has this been going on? Does it say here? I don't even know. Does it say? I'm so unfamiliar with all this stuff. I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm on a laptop. Oh, it's been an hour. Okay, it hasn't been that bad. An hour's not too bad. I know the people who want to watch a replay might be like, oh my God, an hour. I know I would be like that, but yeah, it is what it is. Uh, uh, I just read your comment, Kyle. I don't mind. That's funny though. Yes, it is funny. Thank you guys for just being here and being who you are and yes, and just living life. That's all I care about. Live your life, be happy, and if Valentine's Day makes you happy, cool, then be happy. If it doesn't make you happy, then fuck Valentine's Day. And with that, I think that's a good place to end. Thank you again, everybody, and I'll see you over on Ryan Recycled if you choose to join me over there. Take care.